Yeah.
Hello, Alberto's there. Good morning, Alberto. Sarah's here, yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Morning.
Hello, everyone.
Or good afternoon.
Or evening.
Morning.
สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์
Okay.
Hi,
สวัส
Tani
ดีครับ
Tam.
อาจารย์
สวัสดีครับอาจารย์สวัสดีครับ สวัสดีครับท่านอาจารย์
Sawadika, everyone.
Shall we start?
Okay, อาจารย์ shall I say something?
Can't hear you, Nina.
Ajahn, you said seeing is not hearing. You say that many times. And people may
Still can't
say
hear you, Nina.
Seeing is not hearing.
I can hear.
And people wonder, why is Ajahn saying that? Because we all know. But it is an important reminder because they are completely different citas and they are gone already. And we do not realize that I cannot be there at the same time. So I think it's very good when Ajahn says, seeing is not hearing, because it reminds us of the impermanence of each moment. And we also hear very often little by little. And that reminds us that it is a long process, not just a few sessions of listening, and that we would know already. And we should not be discouraged because it's normal that it is a long process after all the accumulation of ignorance. That is just a few remarks that I want to make.
That's why we talk about what is there in order just to be reminded about its truth, that it's there only when it appears. And even that what appears arises and falls away unknowingly, so very rapidly. Only that which appears as the nimitta characteristic, for example, seeing only. But there are other realities with it, but it cannot be known because it does not appear. So what can be known is only that which is now appearing. But it's so short, gone. That's why there can be more considering about its truth from moment to moment by conditions. We don't take the whole story as very true because it's not there anymore. It's only at moment of thinking about it. And when there's no thinking about it, where is it? No one knows. It's not there at all until think about it. So it appears to thinking as it's there, still there, but in truth, it's not there. Nothing can be for long at all. It's only just for a moment, and a moment is so short. So what appears now is only the nimitta of everything, no matter what we are talking about. Even seeing right now, it's not just one moment of seeing, many moments until it appears as it's seeing, see, long enough to be known as it is seeing. But in truth, it's not there because it's only the succession of the arising and falling away of seeing, including other citta, which does not appear as object. That's why the nimitta of that which experiences has different characteristics. One experiences visible object, another one experiences sound, another one experiences taste, and so on. each different moment. That's why the understanding of there's nothing last, it's only when it appears and it can be directly known as it is. This is the way to begin to understand the truth that actually there is no me and there's no thing at all. No matter we are taking it now at moment of seeing something all the time, but in truth, not any object as thing can be seen. It's only just thinking about the shape and form conditioned by the succession of the arising and falling away so very rapidly about that object. That's why this is the life of nimitta, ignorance, not understanding the truth of it until there are words about it to be considered carefully whether it's true and develop the confidence of the truth of there's no me or anything at all, little by little. But it has to be to the end, no one and no me. At moment of experiencing more and more truth of that which is now appearing, no matter what and no matter when. It has to be just like now. Just live, that's all, by conditions. Never know what would happen at all, from moment to moment. With ignorance and clinging, take it for something permanent, but in truth, it's not what we think at all. Begin to understand that this is life. No one can do anything or by conditions. No matter seeing, liking, disliking, different situation, happening, situation, and so on, or by condition, only 6 doorways. Without 6 doorways, nothing can appear at all. And very rapidly arising and falling away. Never be known that it's not there anymore, even right now. The truth is the truth, that's all. Just understand it more in a day by conditions. Otherwise, it's forgotten all the time because of ignorance. Just understand the truth, that's all. Not me trying to understand better than that. Only what is there as it is to be developed little by little of its truth as no one. Even right now, we talk about this word object, only that which impinge on the eye best. But the truth is that what is seen is something all the time. Until right understanding is strong enough to understand little by little, so it is moment of letting go, the clinging to it as something little by little. But it has developed or accumulated so long time ago. So how can it be suddenly eradicated? Impossible. But to understanding it little by little can lead to the understanding of the truth, which is now different ones. But the truth is covered by attachment, being attached to no matter what it's there. Many moments, many ideas about it. Just cling and cling and cling, take it for something. That's why when there is a little more understanding, it begins not taking the different ones as just one, like seeing here, hearing now. Without understanding, we take it for together. At moment of hearing, seeing is there too. But in truth, it's not just as it appears. To understand is the best way to not being attached to the idea of it's me or something as usual. So how long will it take to really understand each reality as it is, as not anything at all, as before? So it's not the moment of trying so hard because that is motivated by wanting, desiring, attached to that which is there, try to make it different. So it's just very, very subtle way, a path leading to understand the truth. And the only way is not having attachment and ignorance as taking it for something or I as usual, because the truth is that it's not there anymore, gone all the time, never be the same. And the truth does not hurt at all. It's just moment of beginning to see life, each moment as it is. So natural. As natural as no one can change at all. Because it's gone absolutely. Never to return. From
It's so difficult to explain to people that they take it for something because they will believe that they develop very naturally and do not realize that it is that there is clinging to self who wants to know, and before they realize that, it's really a difficult point to explain.
just the same truth. It's there by conditions. No selection, no choice. Because it's already arising, falling away all the time. Until that can be realized one by one, and one doesn't mean just single one, nimitta of one characteristic, because the rapidity of the arising and falling away cannot be known. What can be known is only the mark or the nimitta of our reality as seeing right now. It cannot be hearing, but what in truth, what is it? That which arises to experience. No one can make that reality arise and experience at all. But by conditions, there is a reality. By conditions, it has to arise to experience an object. From birth to death, and then birth again, and on, seeing, hearing, thinking, and then death, and then birth again. The stream of bhavanga interrupted by moment of seeing, thinking, and so on. But no one understands. There must be the bhavanga in between. Otherwise, it has to be one doorway. But they cannot be as it seems to be, because actually the process of experiencing one object is so very short. Bhavanga is in between, not known. See how repetitive it is. Even Bhavanga is there. Many moments, it doesn't appear as that at all. So in the world of Ariya Satya, it does not appear as it is appearing now. Otherwise, there cannot be the letting go of the idea of taking it for something when it's not known as it is. But when it's known, no thing at all, the thing cannot appear because it's the object of thinking, taking the shape and form which appears by the rapidity of the arising and falling away as something all the time. So we begin to understand what is the truth of that which is there as body or someone or something. Many different realities are there by conditions. So when each one is known little by little, it breaks up the idea of the whole thing into the composition of many, many reality.
So no selection, no choice is also a good reminder that we cannot choose what to be aware of, because we never know what happens the next moment.
And that's the beginning of seeing what is that. It's attachment, unknown, all the time, until attachment is known, that it is that which hinders the moment of the arising and falling away of what is there now. Because it's taken by attachment to the shape and form as something, until even the truth shows up as a truth, the realization of the Ariya Satya to be Sotapanna. But what is there cannot change the way it arises and falls away so rapidly, so very rapidly. But right understand is that enough not to take it as a whole as before, because the realization of the truth of each one, which is there, one by one. Even there is feeling pleasant or unpleasant at moment of touching, but when the pleasant feeling or the unpleasant feeling does not be the object, yet the hardness is there, appears. So it has to be the understanding of hardness, not as we take it for something, but it's only just a reality. And it means that just a reality like taste, just a reality like smell, the same object which can be experienced through different doorways. For the tongue doorway, the nose doorway, the body, see, different realities appear by conditions to be only that very moment and then gone. Does not go away, never be there. It's not known, but the truth is that it cannot be there longer at all. And this is so true. Otherwise, there cannot be the eradication of the idea of self. It's there now, what is seen, what is heard, something, story, people and things all around. But in truth, just one reality can be known directly. And when it's just a reality, how can it be someone or something? Impossible. So begin to be familiar to the story about it until it's not anything different from what is heard. By way of different moment, different object, different that which appears. But without the teaching of the enlightened one, how can anyone think about it? As it's so true that it's not that anymore. Yesterday, gone. A moment ago, gone. Unknown. From moment to moment until it is tomorrow. Yesterday is gone. But even it's now, it's gone too. Until it is tomorrow. And the day after tomorrow, exactly the same. Everything just appears to be forgotten. Do you think about the day you were in Thailand? is forgotten. And is it still there as you had experienced? Impossible. Never be the same. We just talked about the truth of what is there, just to be the object of understanding that actually there's no one and no thing. For the sake of understanding the truth, that's all. Not for me or for more understanding, just for the sake of understanding the truth of what is there. Little by little, until what we have heard shows up by conditions. We don't know what to be, the object which is there. Even the next moment cannot be known. It can be anything, even death, because death is just like at the moment, arise by conditions. And it's just like Bhavanka. No object appears when it's there, just like when one is fast asleep. And very short, just one moment. And then next moment, next birth, next life, everything changed. Not remembering what in the past is. It's gone. So even this life, it's just like last life and next life, this life and next life, last life and this life, different moments, that's all. Whatever is experienced is just to be forgotten. And where were they? Never be found at all. Completely gone. Absolutely gone. The word of Riya, of Khanti, to let go ignorance and attachment to that which is not there. But ignorance and attachment condition moment of clinging, no matter what, forgetting that it's not there.
It's a good point that we may think about Thailand or Vietnam or any place, but it's actually just a fantasy. What we dream of or think about will never be the same because it's just the thinking about the fantasy. The seeing is now, and it can't be the same as the seeing yesterday or even a moment ago. The hearing is now, it can't be the same as hearing long ago. So we just live in the fantasy world of dreaming about what happened in the past or wishing to relive it or dreaming about the future, but not understanding anything about the reality now. And I think that the reason it's difficult to explain the truth to other people is because there's not enough confidence in it. If it's not firmly understood that now there is just different kinds of dhammas, there are just different kinds of dhammas, no one there, no thing there, then it's difficult to explain confidently to others. So it all comes back to the understanding at this moment.
Well, I think there's also the point, Nina, that it's not easy for other people to understand, even those who count themselves as followers of the Buddha. And I'm sure you explain it very clearly, but we should not expect that other people are going to see things the way that we understand them. After all, if they're followers, if they're people who've been studying the Dhamma for some time, they have very clear views and ideas of what developing the path means. And so for those ideas to be given up and a different interpretation to be accepted will take a long time and a lot of thought and consideration on their part.
And even ourselves, we keep on thinking of a story. Like yesterday, I fell down in the revolving doors of the shopping center. And I keep on thinking of this story, although I know it's only a story, there are only different realities, but still, I find it so important. And the pain I feel and the painful feeling I find so important. So for myself too, you know.
Right. This is only normal and natural, though. If an accident happens to us, we are bound to think about it. I'm thinking a lot about a health issue, because I visited the doctor last week and the other day, and what he said concerns me. So obviously, that's just the way things are. We should not expect it to be any different.
Is it still there now? See, forget it. So just talk about what is there. Forget about the previous events. Because it's not that moment of falling. It's now. Sitting or lying down or walking, whatever. Not the same, different ones. Not at moment of falling.
But we find joy so important. We can't help that. It's conditions.
But what about now? See, otherwise it cannot be understood at all. Even its experience as object. No understanding of the truth of that which experienced and that which is the object of experiencing. This is the world, only that. Just that which experienced and that which is experienced, that's all. No matter what manners, falling, sitting, standing, talking, anytime, any moment. And gone, just past, never to return. And what things, see, what conditions such thinking of moment of folly, see, what condition that? See, memory, sanya is there. If sanya is not known, it's me or I. Even feeling is, if it's not known, it's I feel all the time. But actually, no one at all. And the exact moment, what are there, which appears, it's not known from moment to moment until it begins to be think about and know it's there and understand more what is it from hearing and considering, not thinking about other thing because it's not there to be known. Only now what is there can be known. And if we don't talk about it, how can there be condition for understanding directly of that reality which we have talked about? Like hardness, we have talked about it. When there's not enough conditions, how can there be the moment of even that is to be understood? because it's moment of experiencing an object, and that which experience does not show up as no one. That's why there is the idea, ashva or vashva of I all the time, until the characteristic of arises and experience an object. No object appears, no other object appears, only the reality which experiences, and think about the reality, the moment when it's there, experiences. It's known because it's the object of direct understanding. So the other object cannot be known. Only that characteristic which does not appear when there's no moment of showing up as its experiences. It experiences. It's there. But still, what experience it? See? So it's long time to develop the understanding of whatever experiences, no matter of that which is the object or that which experienced later to be known. It's the work of studying what is there. Otherwise, it's not understanding the truth of what is there. And study what is there as it is, not other subject, not other object at all. Just what is there as it is, as it really is. So thinking about experiencing that which is seen when there's not yet the moment of taking it to be something by shape and form. Even it does not appear yet, but the understanding of the truth that the moment of experiencing that which is seen has to be just only that. Now, no shape and no form to think about as something, because it's so very short and so very fast, just appears and disappears, the same as other objects through other doorway. That's why I begin to understand the absolute truth, the same ignorance or understanding, different levels of what is there, as they are all the same. They have their own characteristic to be known as different ones, but the subtlety, the profoundness of the truth is there. Because what is there arises no matter its hardness or sound or smell or taste. To understand whatever is there, the general characteristic is it is conditioned to arise and falls away. So no matter it's pleasant or unpleasant object, they are the same by conditions, appears and disappears.
Ajahn, we don't have enough confidence that whatever the object is, it's the same in this way that it appears and disappears.
And confidence of the truth cannot arise without hearing and considering the meaning of the word about the truth. So begin to be truthful to the truth as Parami, see, without seeing everything as it's conditioned. Before it arises, no condition for the arising of it. But now when it arises, it means that there must be conditions for that very reality to just arise and appears as it is. For that which experiences, it performs the function of each different one. Because there are so many cittas, not the same. The citta before seeing is not the seeing, and the citta after seeing is not the seeing. Different ones, see. And this is life, to be studied, to learn to understand its truth, until it's there as the object of beginning to know that it's there to be studied and develop the understanding little by little. That's why there must be the pariyati, and then patipati, and then padiveda, because it's so true. It's there to be object of understanding when there are small conditions, to attend to it and then begin to understand it, because there are enough understanding from listening, considering, to begin to know that it's just like we have heard. It's only hardness, no arm, no nail at all. Hardness cannot be anything. But when they come together, appearing as shape and form to be different as hairs and nail and shoe and arm and plate and arm and everything by different conditions, even to be such shape by conditions, by what is there, it's different. So when it's experienced, it's different. Otherwise, there cannot be different shape and form. That's why understanding what is there deeper and deeper and deeper, it will lead to the understanding of the truth. Deep down as it is now arising and falling away. And deep down is from ignorance, which does not understand anything at all, and down to the moment when it's there, to the moment when it arises and falls away. As nimitta, see, this is so true. But not nimitta of something, but nimitta of that characteristic, which is enough to appear as object. Not only one single tiny moment. So at moment of what is there appearing, there can be the understanding that we think that it's clear, but it's not as clear as when it appears to panya. To what way? Mind, because sense experience the object. And when the mind or understanding it, at the other moment of experiencing it after mind or process, right understanding of that is fast enough to be there very shortly. But mind or is there to separate the characteristic which follows one another so rapidly as different ones. Otherwise, there cannot be understanding how tiny, how fast what appears, arises and falls away so short. It cannot be anything at all because it arises and falls away so rapidly. So how come to be shape and form as something? So the characteristic of that particular one appears clear, not with at moment when right understanding is there, not at moment when there's no understanding at all. And the truth is there at what appears now. So just live, not at will, but by conditions, from moment to moment.
And by conditions, that's a good reminder that it cannot be changed. We cannot alter what arises, an unpleasant, painful feeling or worry about what the doctor said. It's all by conditions and cannot be changed.
So right understanding does not hurt at all. By conditions, see, never lasts, very shortly. Depend on conditions, what would be there. It can be a moment of getting well, better, or it can be so unmissable. Who knows the next moment and the next object? Impossible. It shows the truth that no one can make it arise, no one can do anything, no one can intend to have such and such. And it would be as one intends, impossible. All depends on conditions, whether as one think or not as one think. It's the understanding of how to live. Even having hospital and doctors are by conditions. Unexpected each moment. But Panya can understand what is there as it is by conditions. So what is there now? Moving the hand, stretching out, or thinking about this and that by conditions. Not for long, very shortly, from moment to moment. Changing all the time. From sitting to standing to walking, whatever.
And I told my sister about the family member that her husband wants to leave her and she doesn't like that. And then my sister said, but she cannot help that she still will miss her husband when he goes away. It's natural.
Yes, but is it beneficial?
And
Or
I said,
better to think different in different way? It's time to understand the absolute truth. Everything has to change sooner or later. In this life, if doesn't happen, and if one live longer, it would happen. See, who knows?
Yes, and I told her that you had said that she should not torture herself by having this unpleasant feeling about missing her husband.
It's time to understand the truth that she can be friendly to him, even not as husband, but to be friendly to anyone, well wishes to everyone. It's time to do good because it's the moment of no regret, no sorrow at all. It's time to understand the truth. Even he didn't leave her in this life. What about at moment of death? But the clinging is there more than when he left. Because when he left, we know that it's ended. The attachment and the such and such thinking to understand the truth that one day, any time, death of departed, just being left, or by what? It can be by conditions. But Nina, in Thailand, I saw many widow. Her husband died. She get younger, about 25 years, no burden anymore. But she didn't realize that. But the truth is that it's time to be free, not have any burden anymore. See, think about the good way of having situation like as it is. Better than before in many different ways. Just to know that life has to be like this. It has to be a moment of separate from this and that and that and that. Even not husband, it can be anything. The same, longing for this and that, hoping for this and that. But in truth, it has to not be as one wish it to be. I think that it's the good time to understand the truth. Otherwise, the truth is covered. Permanent feeling, attachment, and so on. But it's not like that at all. One day, like now, when this come, where's the husband or the friend who died? Never be the friend as before. New life, new family, new friend. So if it happened in this life to be known, is it not better? That is so true. It has to be like this one day. The moment of departure, see, by what we don't know. So it is one's own clinging. Otherwise, it must be present moment of understanding the truth. She might not be accustomed to such idea or thinking, but later on, little by little, there can be moment of understanding. And when it's wise moment, it can be moment of understanding the truth that better not have clinging as before than just cling and never change, just the same more and more, while there is no object as before that one cling. Does anyone like the changing, the change, or better change? It's one condition to understand the truth. To be wise to the way life is. Not just for her, for everyone, by different manners, different situations. And does anyone still like the one in past life? When one is born as different one, not the same one as now. What you like this life, for next life, is it still dear to you? Or not knowing what is what? So what we take for that person, what about the truth? If when he died, never know who you are. It's your own thought, clinging, never let go, not understanding that no more that person. Even it's not next life yet, but no more that person even in this life, not as before at all. The best thing is to be friendly to what or who, no matter who. Because to be friendly does not hurt, but to hate or dislike hurts not that person, but oneself.
And in truth, no matter whether we have a partner or family members, or we say we live alone, but in truth, we all live alone, seeing now, hearing now, thinking now, but usually we live alone with so much clinging and expectation about others and dreaming about my husband, my son, my friends, Thailand, Nina's accident. But actually, it all comes back to this moment of seeing or thinking or hearing. So no matter how we may describe the situation, there is only the living alone from moment to moment, no matter for whom or anyone. And yes, the clinging and the expectation and the disappointment and the regret and the fantasizing about my past life with my husband and how he used to be, it just hurts again and again, but we don't realize it's the clinging and the expectation and the dreaming that is hurting, not the other person at all. So for everyone, we have to learn to live alone with a little more understanding, a little more detachment, a little less clinging, because it's the only way.
And of course, Ajahn, when you say to be friendly, you're referring to the mental attitude and not the overt bodily acts. So it's a question, isn't it, of being kindly disposed towards the other person rather than having dosa.
We have a friend here who had a very bad breakup with his wife a very long time ago, and whenever he talked about it, he was always angry. But we had some Dharma discussion, and now he said he and his ex-wife, they get on well and talk together, and he doesn't have any of the anger. And so being friendly and understanding always is the way. It always helps. Letting go of what's gone, forgiving whatever has happened, and just being understanding and friendly, as Ajahn was stressing, instead of clinging and fantasizing about love and everlasting life together and so on. Just letting go of all the bitterness and disturbance and learning to live alone now.
And the truth is that one knows one another only in this life. Just in this life only. Whose next life, who knows? Whose last life, who knows? Because actually there's no one at all. But the succession of the experiencing an object different, so we have different people, different friends, but actually just different realities.
And like we discussed before, even in this life, when there's more understanding, there's more acceptance that the idea we have of someone, everyone has to change, even from moment to moment. Someone may be kind and caring one moment and mean and uncaring the next. So it has to be like that by conditions. So the husband that was before kind and caring may not be that way now, but when there's more understanding, we can appreciate it's always like that. No one stays the same, nothing stays the same, even from moment to moment. So I think that this is why the understanding conditions more metta and more compassion, because there has to be changes and difficulties and disturbances and clinging and anger in the others by conditions. It's so natural. And sorrow too.
And one learns about we cannot do anything for the other at all. It depends on conditions to be what he is or we are, different ones. That's why just take care of oneself, of one's own understanding, or one's own feeling, and one's own kusala and akusala, that's all. Because the other cannot do anything for us, as we cannot do anything for the other at all. Only having good wishes, goodwill, being friendly and understanding person, that's all. To anyone and everyone, because who knows last life? Relative, mother, father, brother, and what about next life is not known. Never know what has happened in this life. About husband, wife, friends, everything gone.
And we feel angry and bitter about what has happened, like Nina's relation, because of the clinging to the idea of I and the clinging to other people. How could that person behave like that to me? So the understanding that actually there's no one here and no one there, in
And
the end,
in
is the
truth,
only way.
he cannot do anything to you. It's your own accumulation only, which conditions such moment You might think that that person has done such and such to you, but actually it's not the condition, not the real condition, but the condition of experiencing what is there. Even just a right to experience depends on conditions. So no one can hurt you at all. Only the accumulation of taking it for someone, no understanding of actually there's no one. What is seen is completely gone. No matter clinging to when right understand is there, clinging to that which is not there anymore and no return at all. Why wasting time clinging to such that is not there at all? So one hurts one's own. No one can hurt you at all. No one can hurt the other, no matter how mean he is or she is. But that is her and his, not yours. What is yours is only what has been accumulated to arise again and again, thinking about this and that, and think that that person has hurt you and so on. But in truth, no one can hurt the other at all. All depends on one's accumulation.
Yeah, that's that's such a good reminder, Tamajan. And we have in the scripture, in the text, when the Buddha speaks about kamasaka, kama yoni, kama bandhu, kama patisarana, kamasaka, we are the owners of our own karma. Kama yoni, we're born of our own karma. What we do, that is how we are born from moment to moment. Kama bandhu, we're bound, we're related to our karma. It's not anybody else's karma. Kama patisarana, karma is our protection. Karma is our refuge. That phrase is uttered time and time again in the scriptures. We read that. So it's a good reminder that the other really cannot harm us. It's we who harms ourselves. And I believe Sariputta made a comment, something one time very similar to that. If it was dependent upon the other, we would never be able to attain enlightenment. It's like, it's not about the other. If it was the other who made us angry, for example, which is ridiculous, but if that was the case, we could never attain enlightenment. So it's always up to us.
And it will lead to more understanding about all akusala harms or hurts oneself, not the other. But the kusala does not hurt or harm at all. We can understand that, so it can condition more wholesome moments. Not to regret, to be friendly, to forgive, and so on. And then to thank for such events that has happened, to be the teachers or the one who gives the truth or open up the truth from just covered up by attachment or longing or other unwholesome reality. Begin to see the benefit of wholesomeness. For example, when panya is there, no regret. Life is as it is, shows up the truth, this way or that way. Any situation can condition right understanding of the truth. So take the best from whatever happens. If not, there's no clinging to oneself. How can they be the clinging to the other to regret on such and such matters? And nothing is as best as understanding the truth. Learn to understand the truth from whatever happens. When someone might blame us in such and such thought or words and deeds, it's time to understand it's his own akusala. And when we are very, very friendly, it does not hurt at all. Just see the danger of such acts that it can condition the result in such unpleasant manners, pleasant events. So very pitiful. And good wishes, wishing that person doesn't have such results. But who can do? All depends on ignorance and understanding. So what people take it very seriously about when one is blamed or whatever happened. But the one who understands the truth does not regret at all. Just take what is there as the example of the truth which has happened. So very useful, very beneficial to condition the moment of understanding the truth. Never regret. That's the way to live happily. With understanding. It does not hurt at all. Just being glad for any situation. It's the
Mind you,
wholesomeness. But for us, it's not unwholesome when wholesomeness is there.
you go ahead, Sarah.
I was just going to say, well, and it has to be like that in life, praise and blame, gain and loss, all the worldly good conditions that the Buddha mentioned. And the only reason we're so susceptible to them is because of clinging. For the one with no clinging, no matter what comes in life, no matter what the worldly conditions, it doesn't matter at all. But it has to be like that. It can't be any other way. There has to be blame, there has to be praise, there has to be good health and bad health and gain and loss.
I heard Achan say before to be glad with any situation, but it is difficult when the situation is not so favorable, or we consider it not so favorable.
But at moment of understanding the truth, one can see the benefit of understanding the truth. Not being enslaved to ignorance, attachment, which will consider more and more unpleasant moment.
And it is so true, like when you mentioned earlier about your accident, I'm sure for many people, like for me, immediately there was concern or worry. And this is just one's own akusala thinking, but then moments of compassion or kindness, and they don't hurt at all. So one thinks the problem is Nina's fall or Nina's accident, but the problem is just one's own akusala thinking. And the same when one has the accident, it's really one's own drama, one's own akusala thinking, one's own preoccupation with the difficulty that is really causing the problem. But moments of understanding or moments of consideration for others don't hurt at all. So it's actually like that at any time, any moment. We think about this or that situation, but it does all come back to the citta now, citta with sorrows, citta with kindness, citta with compassion, cittas with understanding. It's all about this moment. Seeing now, hearing now, no matter what the circumstances. So understanding can come in any time at all. Just different dharmas. In truth, no nina, no fall, just moments of seeing and hearing and painful bodily feeling, just for a moment and then gone, thinking with dosa, even smiling, another accident. Just different realities arising and falling away.
Yes, I had the same. When Jonathan said about the doctor and he was concerned, so I immediately had aversion, and concern, but instead there can be compassion or metta, but it's hard.
So those accumulated tendencies come in immediately, so we can see that it's always the actual disturbance is always because of the accumulated tendency of clinging and aversion and ignorance again and again.
Yeah, but there can't be compassion and metta on command. It cannot be. It depends on conditions too.
It all depends on conditions, but we can see the difference at those moments. Like when I heard about your accident, or you heard about Jonathan's condition, one can see the difference between the moments of worry and concern and the moments of understanding or compassion. So gradually there can be more understanding about different dharmas, and at moments of seeing and hearing, no concern and no compassion, just different kinds of dharmas, all anatta. And it's all about this moment. So Jan stressed at the beginning, it all comes back to now, not to what happened in the shopping mall or at the doctor or when the friends spoke about this or that, but it's all about this very moment.
Yes.
And when you think about the result of the one who has done such bad thing, you can have compassion and being friendly, because you yourself do not want that person to get such results. So the way to do is not to try the other way, but being kind and friendly and help him as much as you can. And not just for him, for the other too. So at moment of kusala, when one is so busy doing kusala, one forget about the unpleasant thing about such matter. Little by little, it will get away, gone, little by little. Until it's so natural, thinking about the other's deed, about his bad deeds, that he would get the bad result, that can bring about the compassion. Doesn't want that person to have such result, so you do the best to him or to anyone. Just think about the other thing, about wholesomeness. It will be less time to think about what happened to you and the event, the happenings about your husband. And it is not only you who have such events, happenings. It can happen to anyone at any time. When it has come, one knows the truth. Exactly the same by akusala, unwholesome. ignorance and attachment. As long as it's there, it can condition any unpleasant situation here and there. This matter or the other matter, different manners, that's all in life, the same. Because unwholesome cannot condition the pleasant moment. And the best of all is right understanding of the truth. Best of all. So you forget about the other thing and develop the best thing in life to understand the truth. Would you like to exchange the understanding to such thinking in the way you like? Or better have right understanding no matter at any moment, pleasant and unpleasant happenings. The best of all, better than have your husband back, is to understand the truth, no matter he would be back or not. Even now, what is there is gone, unknown all the time. This moment is not previous moment. So how can everything be the same? Impossible. What about having your husband back, but no understanding of the truth? And being able to understand the truth, but not having your husband back. And the answer is the way one has accumulated. Not anyone's decision, but by conditions. To be wise or to be fool.
Yes, a friend of mine has a similar situation. His son has left and refuses to talk to him, hasn't talked to him for several years. And he thinks, just like your friend thinks, oh, if only my son is back, all my problems will be solved. But we don't realize that it's the clinging to the idea of my husband, my son, my friend, and the expectation that causes all the problems. If it's not this husband or son, it'll be something else, someone else. And while there is still the idea of people and things, there's going to be grief and sorrow all the time, again and again, because of the strong clinging. So the only real solution, the only real medicine is the understanding of the truth about life now, the truth that there are just different dharmas arising and falling away. No one can make anyone else behave in a particular way. No one can make the son or the husband come back or do anything. But the problem is, in the end, is not the son or the husband, but the strong clinging, the idea of what belongs to me, the clinging to oneself.
And what is the absolute truth? Just live in the moment. Only that. Just live. No one can stop the way it is, moment to moment, arising and falling away. So just live. Then we don't mind or care what would it be next moment, all by conditions. That's why just live. What else can be done? Nothing at all. Even just lived by conditions. To understand that from now on, just lived, everyone's understanding or not understanding, but just live, everyone. So to live the best is to understand what is there as it is. It has to be only that, it cannot be changed, conditioned to arise and then fall away. That's all in life. So it's so useful to live with understanding the truth. Can anyone not live?
Well, in truth, no one lives, just seeing arises and lives for a moment and then it's gone. Hearing arises for a moment, is gone. Thinking for a moment. So just chitta rising and falling away at each moment. And like we discussed, there's thinking about what was heard, thinking about the story or the meaning of the words, but the sound is gone. So just thinking again and again about the sound of voices or the sound of the cars or the sound of this or that. But actually there's no one there, no thing at all. Just moments of hearing sound, seeing what is seen, thinking about it, clinging to the story again and again, clinging to the idea of this person or that person here and there.
And that is the meaning of life or live.
And this is what the Buddha taught us, that no matter the circumstances, there's always just living alone from moment to moment. Everyone has to learn to live alone by understanding what life is just for a moment and then gone. One may feel so lonely and isolated, but it's just the thinking for a moment and then gone. No matter one's with people or not with people, life is just for a moment. Alone at each moment. No one there at all. Does anyone else have any questions or topics they would like to discuss today? Mark or Roberto or Alan or Maeve or anyone?
About the kusala, the condition for kusala chitta, until there is more understanding, it seems like there cannot be more conditions for kusala. We keep on perpetuating the same way of dealing with situations and the same. It seems like it's normal to feel sorry about hearing news about hearing news about someone being somehow being sad or being unwell or being or getting old or whatever, and we're so used to it. But until there is more understanding, that's the way it has to be like that. The only I think the only real progress is when there is the understanding of the reality which are not self, as the understanding of the teachings as reminds me of the also of the Jakarta, when the Buddha was the family and his son died and even in that occasion there was no sorry, neither on his part or his wife, and people wouldn't just understand that, so they thought it would be heartless or something like that, while it was exactly the opposite. So it's so deep, so against the current of our usual accumulation of akusala, I think. About also about kusala, I've been reading about the 6 pairs of kusala cettasika, which are kaya pasadi, Chittaprasadi and Lahuta and Mudita. And also that makes one think about the real complexity and so much more complex and more than the moment of a kusala. Kusala is so beautiful also because of all these different chittajikas which have so many functions which are needed for kusala to arise. Ajahn, yeah, the question would be, can you talk more about these 6 pairs of...
Yes, I think that everything is unknown until the enlightenment of the Buddha. We know nothing about this moment. What are there? The reality which arises to experience and the conditions for its arising arises with it as sahajatapatya. No understanding of what is there in the moment, because one moment is so very, very fast. How can there can be the understanding of that which appears like only one single reality, but actually it can be broken up because that the what we take for one moment, in reality, it's much more than just one very short, more than just we think about what we say one moment. That's why how many realities are not known at all as it is. That's why there is the idea of something and I, no matter it is wholesome realities or unwholesome realities. But from enlightenment, the Buddha taught about the truth of reality in each moment as it is one by one. Like the seeing is not that which is seen, and at moment of seeing, what is there experiences the object clearly, and what is there arises with it as conditions. But it's not the citta, the reality, which is the chief of experiencing the characteristic of the object, only that function. But the other reality, like what you said, pasati and so on, who knows? But there are conditions, not only in this life, but from eons and eons ago accumulated to be different moment of kusala and akusala. But when it's known, we begin to understand what is there as no one and nothing. This is the main point, the truth of everything, because it's conditioned. Without condition, nothing can arise. That's why Buddha found the truth that when there's no conditions, nothing can arise. And by understanding what are conditions, each condition can be gradually eradicated. So that which is conditioned by such condition cannot arise. So we learn to understand what is there as no one there. Because actually, no matter this moment or moments before or moments ahead, no one at all. It just arises and falls away in succession by conditions. That's why we talk about moment of kusala. What are the different cetasikas, not just one, to be conditioned for that moment of experiencing the object with kusala citta. That's why it's time just to learn to understand the truth until the truth can be directly experienced, because panya is strong enough to let go the clinging and taking it for something as before. For instance, for example now, we heard so much about nothing is seen as something because it has to be only that very tiny particle which arises with hardness and softness, but it's not hard and it's not soft, but it can impinge on the eye base, and the eye base no one can see. It's not the whole eye, but it's only that point, that particular reality which can be that which the object impinge on it. See, who knows now at moment of seeing, learn to understand what are there, many different things as no one at all. Seeing is not that which arises with it as phassa or cetana or feeling, see. And we learn to understand that there is feeling because it appears sometimes pleasant or unpleasant, but the moment of not different, not pleasant or unpleasant does not appear because it's there, see, even right now at moment of seeing. So what is there can be studied to understand the truth that it is different from the other, to learn to understand the truth. But when there is thinking about what is there, as we used to think, to try to find out about this and that, but even just that which is now experiencing an object is not clearly known yet and is forgotten because in a day, just attend to that which appears as object of the experiencing, that which is seen and heard and smelled and tasted. But what about the reality which arises from birth, arising and falling away, experiencing different objects, and it's different from other mental factor which arises with it and so on. And this is there all the time, from not understanding to be moment of developing understanding of the truth, to have the confidence of the truth that nobody can change, no one. Seeing is that which arises and experience, that which touch or impinge on the ibis. That's all. So how can it be something like a door or paper or bed or chair at all? Impossible. That's why learning to understand that how much ignorance about the truth of everything, which is the unknown as it is, beginning to understand what is made by nothing can last at all. And what is not known is the rapidity of the arising and falling away in succession. So it seems that everything is there. Even it's different from moment to moment. Hearing is not moment of seeing. Liking is different from moment of dislike. But it's not known as different objects and no ones. That's why the beginning is to listen to the word of truth about what is there and understand the truth by hearing again and again and consider this is only the intellectual understanding of the truth. So the absolute truth can become known and clear and appear as object. No doubt about it, when it's directly experienced. So the understanding of the truth begin to develop no matter talking about that. For example, hearing about Passati Cetasika. Does anyone want to try to know that particular mental factor? The Passati, Kaya Passati, is different from Chitta Passati. See, who knows? But when it does not appear, and try to think about that which does not appear. So what about that which appears? It's not known. Even right there, it's there. Because thinking about other things. That's why wise attention is whatever is there should be the object of understanding, because it's not known as it is, but it's there, so it can be known. But that which is not there cannot be known, even how much we think about it, only thinking, but it's not clear understanding of it, because it does not appear as object. Just learn to let go. Try to understand that which does not appear, to develop the understanding of that which is really there now as it is. So long before it can be very firm confidence of the truth that it's only that which is seen different from other object which is heard or touched or tasted, see. And this is what we take for life and me and people and things, while actually Nothing can be taken for anything because it's not there anymore. As soon as it has a reason, it falls away instantly because the conditions the arising of that object, only condition the arising. So after it has a reason, it falls away because no condition for it to not to fall away. And this is this moment that can be known little by little. And what appears, no matter we use any word or not use any word at all, no one can change the moment of experiencing it. But it depends on experience with understanding or without understanding. No attending, no attention to the truth at that moment at all. Or begin to just, it's there to be known. It's only that which can be known because it's there. Even such thinking can be accumulated and conditioned moment of direct awareness with understanding that only that can be directly understood as it is, as no one and nothing. Because how can hardness be anything? No matter we take it for microphone or television or shoes or hat. Actually, only hardness which arises and falls away in succession and from up shape and form to be taken from something who can change the way it is because they are conditioned by different conditions from moment of birth on and on and on up to now and continue on and on as long as conditions are there to condition what would be next. So it's the moment of understanding when there can be condition enough to understand directly of what is heard as no one and nothing. If they do not appear as they are, one by one, how can there be the letting go the idea of something? Because just hardness, when there's more understanding, the moment when it's there and not there, arising and falling away, can it be as what we take it to be something? Impossible. Because even the shape and form is there, taken as something, the understanding, experience directly the truth of it and know how come the idea of things. Because the rapidity of changing from moment to moment, arising and falling away, conditions such shape and form of idea about what is there as something. No one can change, but the understanding can understand the truth of what is there. That's why even after experience the truth, Ariya Satya, what appears as before. So moment of directly experience with high developed understanding is just natural, as fast as it is, as short as it is, but it's so clear as it is, not as it does not appear as it is at all. We just know that at moment of kusala, there are many mental factors which are wholesome, the six pairs and so on. But what is there and when is there appearing? Impossible, because all depends on conditions, not just by thinking, hoping that it can be directly experienced. But who knows what would be object of experience? An expected pleasant feeling, not as before at all. But there must be conditions to let go. That is quite different, it's something different and so on. It's just that. Appears and disappears instantly. The same for everything. No matter wholesome or unwholesome, pleasant or unpleasant. So, what about your question now?
Yeah, I think Kaya Pasadi and Chitta Pasadi are not appearing now at all. No, but it's even at intellectual level, it makes sense, all these details and complexity, and as you said before, the teaching is beautiful in the beginning and in the middle and in the end, and so it's, even if it's just intellectual understanding, it is still beautiful, I think.
Ajahn, may I just ask a question about the relationship between Nama and Rupa?
Please.
Are there conditions for Nama to exist without Rupa as some form of Rupa as object? It strikes me that they are very interdependent. I wonder if you might just talk about that a little bit, please.
That's why we talk about the main difference between realities which arise and fall away. One is conditioned to arise. Nothing can arise without its proper conditions. So even that which arises and experience is conditioned by the other mental factor which condition that reality, the main one, the chief one, to experience the object clear than the other mental factor which arise together and experience the same object. Begin to understand the very subtle difference even between the mental factors themselves. Like what is meant by citta is only that which doesn't have any other function, no other characteristic, but its characteristic that cannot be changed is that it's conditioned to experience directly the object clearer than that which arises with it and experience that object. That's why there are citta and many cetasikas. So we can say the 53 namas, one is citta and the others are 52 cetasikas. See, to understand the difference. And then the other reality is conditioned to arise, which cannot experience anything at all. Because it's so true, we touch hardness, we score it, we speak badly, it does not know anything at all. It's not like that which experience sound and experience the thought about that which it heard and so on. That's why beginning to understand the two different realities, one which can experience and the other cannot, and and the reality which arises and experience is different to be one citta and 52 cetasikas. No one can change that which arises and experience to be that which cannot experience an object. because there are different dhammas, different conditions, who can change, who can stop that which arises and experience, as long as there are conditions for that to arise and experience. It cannot be changed to not experience, not to arise at all. And then when we talk about the absolute realities, citta, cetasika, experience the object, and rupa cannot experience. They cannot be the same, never be the same at all. But in the plane of the sense doors, 5 sense doors, the plane of hardness and softness, smell and taste and so on, by conditions, who can stop the rupa, which is such to not to arise? When there are conditions for it to arise, it has to arise. But there is the plane which no rupa can arise at all. Only that which experiences, because that plane doesn't have sensuous object or any rupa to be known at all. So how can it experience the reality which does not know anything like rupa? So in the world of sense doors, there must be the reality which arises and experience. So it experiences what? The rupa which is there by conditions. At moment of seeing, the rupa, like that which can be seen, has to arise. If it does not arise, how can it impinge on the eye base? And how can there be citta which experience it? All by conditions to be in what plane? 5 sense door world, kama vajra citta, or rupa vajra citta. Different from kama vajra, higher than that. But still there is rupa, which is different by conditions, not like the rupa in this human being's world. And the plane that has condition for nama to arise only, because it let go the attachment to the sensuous object, seeing the danger of experiences sensuous object. What would be after experiencing sensuous object, like or dislike, is there? Impossible not to feel towards that object, because the object is there, experience. What about the feeling towards that object? See, seeing the danger of experiences the 5 senses or the sensuous object, that can be the path or the way to let go, not permanently, but as long as there are conditions to be on the plane which does have the rupa at all. So there is only nama, citta and cetasika arising, experience the object of citta and cetasika. No more experience of the rupa by conditions. That's why Buddha taught about the truth of every world, no matter how far it is. As long as there are conditions for what to arise, it has to arise. But after that, the attachment, the anusaya, which is kamaraka anusaya, clinging, being attached to sensuous object, are not eradicated yet. So it's the condition birth after that plane of no rupa at all, to arise in the plane of sensuous object, or rupa vajra bhumi, see, or by conditions to study more about what is there as not self, can understand the way it conditions different objects in different planes of existence. So in the plane of arupajana, no experience of rupa at all, and no rupa. Even citta does not depend on hatiyavatu. Only cetasika condition citta to arise.
Ajahn, I wonder if you would just go back for a moment to what you just said. What was the plane of existence where there is no rupa to be experienced? What was
Arupajana, plane the 4 arupa jhanas,
So
and Jayatana, plain.
in the absence of rupa,
Yes,
does nama experience itself?
because you see that at moment of the reality, which is nama, that which experiences, is the object. No rupa there at all, even in the plane of sensuous object. It depends on that very moment, what is the object. When the object is rupa, the rupa appears as it is, that is that which is seen or sound which is heard very shortly, arising and falling away. But no doubt about that characteristic which arise and cannot experience anything. But even in that plane, the plane of five khandas, the plane of nama and rupa, at moment of the nama is there as the object, the rupa cannot be the object. So there cannot be any rupa appear at all. So we begin to understand no matter what is there as object, it characteristic shows up as it's only that. Even when it's the sensuous object, it cannot appear as shape and form, and sound cannot appear as story at all. Whatever is there through the five senses is so very, very tiny, very, very short, and in the darkness, because it has to be experienced through the mind, or because the other object is nama. So the mind process experiences that which has been experienced by the sense door to know that how sure that object is as it is, and then mind experience it as it is, not as something as before at all. That's why when the absolute truth appears, there's no one and no thing in it at all. Even it's that which appears as visible object. What is meant by visible object is only that which is right now, but not as something, flowers or things at all. Only that which is so very tiny in the world of darkness, because the sense door is very short, followed by many processes of mind door process, different from the way it is when it's not clear understanding of the truth. The sense door covers up the mind door. Even right now, after seeing, there is thinking, many processes as something, and then pawanka in between. But the succession from moment of seeing in this process and the other moment of seeing far away appears as the same moment. How come so fast? That's why it hinders the truth. No one can understand the way it is until Panya develops to see the difference. So it can attend to the characteristic, beginning to see just one at a time, but not as clear yet, because it's not separated by mind. So how can it appear as clear? It appears as so many moments, but it seems like the same object, but the succession of the seeing again and again condition the what appears as shape and form as different things. And Sanya marks and remembers everything and take it for the doll or the bed or the shoes, different shape and form. But it can be broken up into tiny particle. Is there any bed or chair or shoes in it? When it's so very tiny, impossible. So everything is the same. The life span of whatever is there is the same. How many moments of citta for a moment of rupa arising and falling away, and how fast one citta is there arising and falling away. The moment when it arises, the moment when it does not fall away yet, and the moment when it falls away. In a moment of citta, Buddha taught about what rupa arises at what moment of citta. The moment of arising or not falling away yet, and then the moment when it fall away. For example, that which is conditioned by karma arises in every sub-moment of citta. But the other rupa just arises at the moment when citta arises, like citta charupa. Only the moment of arising can condition rupa, but the other moment, no need at all. See, there are conditions for everything unknown when there is not panya at level of Samma Sambuddho. What he taught is only some leaves in his hand, but what he experienced directly, enlightened, much more than this. But what can be known, can be studied, can be known according to accumulation of wisdom, like Sariputta, Mokkhanlana, and the other disciple. All depends on conditions. But to understand the truth, at moment of the nama is the object, no rupa can be there at all. If it's there, it has to be the object. The citta has to experience it. Otherwise, it cannot appear as it's there. But when it appears as it's there, because the citta experiences it. Otherwise, how can it appear? So the moment of having the nama as the object is different from moment when it experiences rupa. Because at moment of experiencing nama, for example, feeling, painful feeling, for example, when it's directly experienced as the object, nothing can be there at all. Even the other mental factor or any rupa, impossible to be there, because only one reality can be the object at a time. And when panya is there, strong enough, nothing can be object of attachment to hinder the truth of that which appears. That's why there are so many vipassana jhana to understand the truth clearly as the object shows up as it is, arising and falling away. But the first vipassana jhana cannot experience the arising and falling away because it's not used to the characteristic, the absolute characteristic that it's only what is meant by experiencing, no matter it's feeling or memory or like or dislike. See, only one object at a time, otherwise it cannot be clear. But even it said one object at a time, Buddha said one means the nimitta of one characteristic. By way of Viticita, the process of experience an object, one knows that the understanding has to be moment when it's not experienced through any dark way yet, because it performs a function of pavanka until some condition is there, like that which impinge on the sense object. And even so, they cannot be seeing or hearing at once, but there must be a citta different from moment when it is pavanka. To know what is there, just to know what is there as panchatavara vachana, no matter it is Chakutavara vachana or Sotatavara vachana, it's there as that which knows, just wake up to know what is there, but not seeing, not hearing yet. It's only knowing what is there through what doorway, to condition moment of the next citta to arise and experience by way it knows what is there. See, and when it's a mind process, no rupa can be the object. When it's not vipassana jhana, but in truth, as the moment of experiencing the sense process and pavanka in between, mind follows. Just experience the same object as sense door. That's why even the object of sense door can be known by mind process as it is. When it's what kind of rupa, it cannot be changed, but it's so very, very tiny and so very short because it passed on to mind process. That's why no doubt that after the sensor process, there must be mind process. And when mind appears, no light at all, because it's mind process. How can there be the other sense of process? That's why even in darkness, because hearing is in darkness, smelling, tasting, touching, every moment is in darkness, only one doorway, eye process. The world is light, otherwise the world is dark, and the truth appears how short from sense process, because mind process can experience it. And from studying, one knows that at the moment when the object appears, for example, visible object has been experienced by the sense process. Otherwise, without that, how can mind process experience it? Because it has to experience the object that sense process has experienced by way of the succession of the arising and falling away. See, everything is there, but it cannot be clear comprehension when there's no understanding at all about the truth of no self. That's why before it can appear as it is, Panya has to be how much the strong degree of the development until it's the understanding what is that as it is, as no one at all. And the truth appear to have more confidence that actually the truth is that, but it's covered up by the succession of the rapidity of the arising and falling away of whatever is there now in daily life. That's why the moment of enlightenment, the truth of vipassana jhana, stage by stage, it has to be different from daily appearing of whatever is there now, because mind process does not experience or show up as it's different from sense process. And what is there more in a day? Mind process. Until then, there's no understanding of how it works and what is there when it is mind and when it is sensor.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Thank you very much, Ajahn.
Right.
Thank you.
สวัสดีค่ะ
Sawadika.
สวัสดีครับอาจารย์
See you all next week. Bye bye.
กราบเท้าท่านอาจารย์ค่ะ
Thank you.
นุโมทนา
Bye
กับ
bye.
คุณเสราคุณจอน
Thank you. and everybody. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Bye.
So made any nama or any concept can be experienced through the mind of Jane. Jane.